Tell that story you told me about when you preached on abortion recently.
So, yeah. So the abortion thing kind of was, we were preaching a message about truth, preaching a message about society and how the church, especially in the culture that we're living in, it's we have to stand on certain principles. Mm-hmm. And so the abortion thing wasn't a sermon about abortion. It actually, and I don't know, I'm trying not to get too crazy about, the Spirit moves, but but the Spirit does move. And I felt led while I was preaching to mention just, hey, abortion is something that is wrong. It goes against, because, the word, because one, the Bible teaches that life begins in the womb. That's a very important issue. And so it was kind of more Spirit-led in a sense, and it kind of came up. But what I didn't expect was what happened right after that service, which was a young lady in our church came forward during the closing song, just in tears, just emotional wreck. Here I am thinking, this young lady, because I ended my sermon with that, she most likely had an abortion. And I try to do it very tactfully. Like I get, we all make past mistakes, things that God can forgive us on, but we have to be a church that stands on these things and preaches these things. But she goes on to tell me that, I had a son 3 years ago, that my mom and that my dad really wanted me to abort, but I just could not do it. And now my son's over there in your kids' worship,
Wow.
And I love them. And she goes, and what you said today is just, it freed me. It freed me from, did I do the right thing? It just allowed me to know that I can, that what I did was right with God. And so that kind of story, that kind of impact has told me and just showed me even more to not be silent on these things, because, I think our culture deeply needs the church to take strong stances on certain things, and that's one of them for me. And how cool is it if it's just like we always say, man, if it just changes one person, if it just brings one person to Jesus, right? Well, me saying that, and it wasn't a sermon about that, but it just kind of came out, allowed this girl to experience some ultimate freedom. I mean, how cool is that, right? That God can move in that way.
And that's why I wanted you to talk about that, because one of the things that I believe should be considered by people who maybe take a different view than I do, and maybe they're more sensitive to their visitors and guests. And again, we should be, is that, but don't forget about that.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the fact that if you do come out and you preach the truth in love on something that is controversial, that might make somebody else mad, it could free somebody.
Oh, yeah. Someone else needs to hear that.
From the bondage that they have and the emotional turmoil that she's had in her life for a few years. And now she's going, God agrees with what I did.
Well, who knows, too, who's in the audience that's struggling with it, that might be making that decision, that might have to make it 6 months down the road. But they hear that and they're like, oh, wait a minute, God values life. Wait, life starts in the womb. I mean, these are all things that they don't get in education.
We take for granted.
We take for granted, yeah.
Because we've studied the Bible.
Know that,
we're in ministry.
Yeah.
But they may have never heard something like this before.
So who knows? 3 years down the road, a young lady that was in that service might not go through with that because she heard it, and she heard that, wow, life does begin in the womb. God values life. God knits us in the womb. So all those things are very important. Just a little, just a side point of what we should be doing as a church is standing on these principles, not apologizing for, speaking up on these truths. And I think we're quickly getting to a place where we need to figure out as leaders, how are we going to lead, because it's really easy to be quiet.
Yeah.
It's really easy not to speak on it. It's difficult to build a foundation and to stand strong on some things.
100%. And I mean, look, no doubt you're going to have some people who are going to go, I'm not going back to that church because of that. But you know what? That's not on you.
Yeah.
Because if you did it in love and you did it tactfully with prayer, and they leave because they don't want God's word, like you said, what happened in Jesus' ministry?
Yeah.
When he preached hard truths and people were like, I'm done with this guy, he didn't chase after him. He didn't apologize. He didn't change his methods. He said, okay, I mean, that was a sifting.
Yeah.
You don't want to follow God.